from the fashion highlights of AMVCA. 8 amazing. I think I'm going to be excited throughout this program. I have a fashion professional, yes, an award-winning one at that. I have Omeruo, fashion illustrator and designer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having
And
me.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations is in order. I mean, this has never happened before because this is the first
Of its
time
kind.
that Africa Magic Viewer Choice Awards will have like a fashion show, fashion competition, and you came out tops. How did that make you feel?
It was really exciting. Sometimes I still can't believe it, but yeah, it's really exciting and an amazing feeling. I feel very happy and lucky, blessed, grateful to be here.
Cool. But what does that really mean for your, career, for your business? What does it mean to you, this particular award?
Well, one is that I guess the work pays off. One, two, it also means that there's still so much more to do because I came into the competition. There were so many other people that were shortlisted as well. So it means that a lot of people are working, and it means you should be on top of your game at every point in time.
Now, this particular show, you got to work with the likes of Maya Tofo, Larry Da Silva, but there are other people there too, of course, upcoming artists, upcoming fashion designers, that also were a part of it.
Yeah.
But what would you say stood out for you in terms of this work? And then your collection, did it have a name? What was it about? What was the inspiration? Because when I see things like that, I'm like, what exactly was going through the mind of the designer?
Okay, so the first question, working with a lot of people, like I said, it opened my eyes to, sometimes you go through life and you think that, oh, it's just you in this tiny bubble, and then you get to interact with so many other people, and you have similar experiences, you have different experiences. So it was a learning curve, a learning process for me, interacting with all the people I came to interact with. Like, it was a total experience, which I welcome every aspect of it. And concerning the inspiration, I've been working with a storyline for my brand Omeruo NG for a while now, and yeah, the inspiration has a lot to do with the 90s, growing up in the 90s. And to be honest, it's actually funny speaking about it on NTA, because I grew up watching NTA, and it's nostalgic to remember those times of 4 p.m. when the television comes on and you're seeing the screen in color for the first time. So the collection actually brings back childhood memories for me personally, and I'm sure a lot of people would resonate. A lot of people who grew up in the 90s will resonate with that as well. So growing up in the 90s and watching your colored TV, and it was so exciting at the time, that was a major inspiration for the collection. There are colors that you actually see on the test screen when you turn on a television set. So that's the inspiration for the collection.
That's amazing. I like that. But also, while you had the opportunity, to be around so many different people, would you say that it inspired you from your colleagues, the facilitators? What did you take away from it?
Well, I took a lot of lessons away because, okay, fine, we got to work with the designer coaches personally. So I picked up a lot of lessons, and I had the designs, yes, but discussing those designs with an older, more experienced mind makes you see things a whole lot differently. So I really appreciate the experience that they brought to the table, as well as making the brand grow. So it's a learning situation all around.
Okay. Now, when you talk about the AMVCAs, it's one of those award ceremonies that you just know that fashion statements are the it thing. People are looking out for the fashion statements, and there were so many. I said it earlier on during the show that even for us that were not there, the pictures, the videos, you're like, oh my God. So, what would you, because you're the expert here, what particular one stood out for you? The fashion statement. Was there anyone, especially from the nights, that you feel like, wow, I can't get over this, and why?
If I'm to be honest with you, there were so many. Okay, like you said, you're on the maybe on your gadget or on the internet and you're seeing pictures. The pictures don't actually cut it like seeing the outfits live. They are really, I applaud a lot of designers and everybody that put in work in one way or the other. A lot of creativity went into putting the looks together. Now, if one stood out for me, I think it would have to be the two best dress of the evening. Osasiko Daro, that dress was done, beautifully done and beautifully executed. Same as well for the men's best dress of the evening. Denola Gray in Ohimai Atafo, of course, Michael Chigen. So it was tastefully and beautifully done. There's nothing like appreciating well done clothes.
For me, I think the part where I usually like is at the end where people are like, okay, best dress, worst dress, and then people are trying to argue, are you sure it's the best or the worst? Have their general impression of the awards. Of course, this year is quite different. It took a longer turn, so many different events within that same event. But what was your general impression of this particular event with all the, because I'm sure there's so many critics and so many, yes,
so many opinions.
Exactly.
Yeah, so many opinions. It was a week of events, so there was a lot of fashion. Like, I'm sure we haven't even scratched like the surface of the fashion that went into all the different days. But one thing I take away from it is that everybody put their best foot forward. It might not have been seen as the best dressed at the time. We can only have one and opinions might differ, but I appreciate the fact that everybody put a good step forward this year.
Now, we know that the AMVC is indigenous to us, but if we're being sincere, even when you look through the roll call of the celebrities and what happens there, you don't see the display of indigenous fashion as much as you think you should. Maybe a touch here and there. And over the years, I think fashion has come a long way, especially fashion in Africa and Nigeria, where we are exporting our fashion. Why do you think this is?
I totally agree with you. And I'm of the opinion that we need to redefine our story. We need to redefine our narrative. Yes, it's good to be in a gown or in something, but where our creativity comes in is when you can take this element, maybe the Western element, and take the African element and come up with something that is totally unique, totally new, totally amazing. So that is where I begin to even give more respect to those who are able to achieve feats like that. We need to find a place for our culture, for our story, and make it, like you said, indigenous, and mix it in such a way that we can now export it back to the world. This is our story. This is where we're coming from. This is how we like to look. This is how we like to dress as well.
Yes, because talking about our story, when we talk about music, we see it happening.
Yeah.
I mean, the likes of Burna Boy and co are indigenously ours, and you can hear it from their tone. What do you think that maybe in the next maybe 1 decade, do you think there will be a change, or 2 decades, and what do you think we should in line with designers now
to shape things in towards that direction? One, we would have to, like I said, we need to redefine our story. The designers who are involved, the creatives, let me not just say the designers, because we mentioned stylists and all, the creatives who are involved in these processes need to push that narrative and that story forward. It might not be blown out there, but there are little elements that still remind you that this is so African, this is so Nigerian. It's something you can relate with as an African. So there are little ways we can move that story forward. And as an industry, yes, there are shows, there are workshops and talks and this and that. We need to implement the things that we say. You have to do some homework, you have to do some research, you have to make sure that everything comes together perfectly.
Now, what should we expect from you? Because this has happened, it's not going to disappear anytime soon. I don't know, pressure, more to be done.
Well, to be honest, yes, the pressure is there, but I also feel very much encouraged that, okay, if you could get this far, then, like they say, the sky is just the beginning point. So I'm looking forward to a lot more avenues to express the stories I've been trying to express, like put out more work, put out much more interesting things out there into the world, and who knows where it's going to go.
Wow, thank you so much for coming on the show,
Thank you for
and
having me.
congratulations one more time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, amazing. The program still continues, and up next we have a report. This time it's the album launch of a music artist, Jumabi. Don't go anywhere.